have some backups just in case things go awry. So the way this game works is an RPG developed by Square and Acquire for the Nintendo Switch. From last year, kind of took the RPG world by storm. Not a whole lot of expectations went into it, and it ended up being a lot of people's favorite RPGs of the year, or of favorite RPG. So if you've seen the run at AGDQ, they did Tressa. We will be doing Cyrus, which is one of the other most prominent characters in the game. He functions a little bit more like a mage than a thief, merchant, warrior, conventional RPG classes. The way this game works is you can pick any one of these 8 characters from the start, and then from there, once you finish with their starting stories, you can go around collecting just about any one of the 8 and have a party of whichever 4 are your favorites. So we'll get started here shortly. Alright, I'll go ahead and count it down for you guys. Not that I really need to, but still. We're starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Side note, we will be playing on English. Japanese, I believe, for Cyrus is a little bit faster. One of the nice, really cool things about this game is that it actually has a cutscene skip feature. So I just hold B to skip all cutscenes. As you can see, this game's visual art style takes a lot of homage from earlier in the Square sprite-based RPG library, although it is built in the Unreal Engine 4. So it has this very 3D-esque pixel-based, I think they call it voxel-based aesthetic. And I do believe some of the people who actually worked on the game 3D.Game Heroes, which look kind of similar, also worked on this game. Anyways, so Cyrus is a professor at this medieval-era university, and his whole gimmick is that he can scrutinize people and kind of hear their stories. And this is how he gets information to progress in his story. Each character has their own kind of different, unique overworld actions, and we'll be using several of them once we start getting more characters. Thanks for the good luck, Lurakos. Anyways, essentially his story, I'm not going to cover too much of the story because there's just not enough time for that, but he is a high-ranking professor at this university, and he's investigating a missing book, which is actually a very powerful grimoire. So we're scrutinizing people for their information. Oops. Wrong input there.
But of course.
But of course. So now we've unlocked the first dungeon, and we need to figure out who is responsible for the missing book. Before we do that, we are going to need to do some shopping, and we're going to be using Cyrus's overworld action here, which is Scrutinize, to get information of this kid who knows that there's a hidden item here. So I'm going to buy a Quartz Rod, which is going to increase my elemental damage. And then this guy is going to tell me where this is. So what we picked up here are 2 soul stones. Soul stones are elemental-based items that do damage in battle. Now, the dungeons in this game are a lot like Bravely Default, in that encounters are random and you can't see them on the overworld, and they're also really short and nothing spectacular. This fight is always scripted, by the way. And so we're going to just kill this guy, because your chance of escaping in this game is about a snowball's chance in hell at times. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. Kind of have to do some risk assessment. So what I did there, every character in this game, on their first turn, they start off with 1 BP, and they gain 1 BP each turn. The way BP works is it functions similar to the Brave, the default, no, it's the Brave system in Bravely Default.
Time to teach you a lesson.
And what that means is that I can tap the right bumper to use an additional point. You see my character kind of has fire around them. Red means I'm using 1 BP, yellow means I'm using 2, and blue means I'm using 3. You can use as much as 3, and that will, if you're using an attack, you will hit 4 times. If you are using magic, it does something close to 4 times damage. So I need to get one more encounter here. I'm going to be using an older, slightly more safe route than what is fastest. And this is to just try and complete the game in a relatively short time frame. These enemies here are weak to my staff. Usually early game enemies are weak to your default weapons, and this is just kind of to introduce you to the weakness system. And weaknesses are incredibly important in this run. If you hit an enemy for its weakness enough times, the shield next to the icons underneath it will hit 0, and the enemy will take more damage on the next turn, as well as... like you'll see here, I'm hitting the icicles. They're weak to ice. They take more damage when I cast the spell, but when the shield hits 0, the enemy is considered broken. As I will break the 2 icicles here on this boss by the name of Russell. He's a fellow professor and kind of a jerk. So these enemies are broken, and you'll see I'm going to use a light soulstone that I picked up here. It does 200 damage normally, but if an enemy is broken, it's double to doing 400. Just going to heal here because Russell gets 2 more turns, and he could theoretically kill me. So now he's charged up. This doesn't really mean anything. He's also weak to ice. So even bosses are susceptible to break. And I'm going to break him on this turn. And we're going to use another small soulstone. I'm saving the medium soulstone for later on. There are 3 levels of soulstones in this game, small, medium, and large. Small does 200, 400 when broken. Okay. Just going to use ice here. A little risky, so I'm making sure I don't make too many mistakes here. And now you see I have 5 yellow dots underneath my health here. That is the most amount of BP I can store on my character. And now I use a fully charged fireball, burning all my BP, because I know that that's enough to guarantee a kill. Alrighty, so that's the first boss done. That fight is relatively scripted, but sometimes things can go wrong. I got lucky and killed the 2 icicles. If I don't kill the 2 icicles immediately, that fight can last a couple extra turns. It is kind of a damage range. Sometimes I'll kill them, sometimes I won't. Depends on how good my damage rolls are on the first 2 fireballs. Alright, so in the story, one of Cyrus's students notices that he's being a particularly close tutor to the princess of this town, and then he's ratted out and accused of trying to seduce one of his students. So he's kind of basically banished from his academy, but he kind of wanted to anyway because he's in search of the Dark Grimoire, known as I believe it's from the depths of hell. The farthest reaches of hell, that's what it's called. Alright, so this is where the game really opens up. I can now go and get any of the other 8 characters. But first of all, I need to get Cyrus the single most important skill in the entire game. He gets it earlier than anyone else does. Now this is completely random, and this is the part where runs tend to go to die. So we're going to head up just north of here to a place called Whistlewood. Whistlewood is an area that spawns enemies... Oh my god, I don't even need to do Whistlewood. Never mind, screw it. Forget I said anything. What is this luck, dude? What the hell? Okay, this is not supposed to happen. So that cat right there is called a Kate. It's basically a metal slime. Okay, so that's not actually supposed to ever happen, and I don't think this will ever happen in a PB attempt. Okay, well, I guess we don't have to do Whistlewood. I think this messes with my money route, so I'm gonna go into Whistlewood anyways. I don't even... Okay, this has literally never happened to me before. Something like that, Bals. I don't think they explicitly describe it as that, but he basically is described as getting a little too close to one of his students. I messed up here, but that's fine. I am not reacting to this very well. So we're gonna break these two enemies. I probably should have just used 2 BP, because I think that's enough for a kill right now. Breaking an enemy guarantees that you will run away from it. Alright. So what I'm going to do is actually equip a support skill. Cyrus gets a support skill called Evasive Maneuvers. What Evasive Maneuvers does is, well, to kind of explain encounters in this game, every step you take gears you closer to an encounter. I think it takes a minimum of 55 steps before you get an encounter. With Evasive Maneuvers, it's about half that. Steps just being the number of times you hear a sound effect. Somebody in the Discord for Octopath calculated it. So, effectively this halves our encounter rate, which means we can traverse long screens without getting, I can traverse long screens without getting encounters when I should. Yeah, so what I got there was a Kate. If you're familiar with Dragon Quest, Kates are a lot like metal slimes. The way they work is they have incredibly low HP, but they happen to die to 1 medium soulstone, which is exactly what I have. Otherwise, I would have to go into that woods and gamble on whether or not I get a favorable encounter. This would be either these worms or these owls, and those get me enough JP that I can... JP being job points, because Scholar is a job in this game. I didn't mess with my money routing. I had to go in there to actually get enough money, because money is important in this route. Very, very important. And also very tight. But killing the Kate gave me enough JP and EXP, like on the side, that I didn't have to actually gamble with encounters in Whistlewood. Encounters in Whistlewood tend to be unpredictable. One of the most common encounters is the set of 4 frogs. The 4 frogs don't give me enough JP to be worth killing. So the fact that I got a Kate before I even got into there basically satisfied everything I needed. So I am good to go. I am past the beginning section of the run. Yep, no frogs. I have not seen a single frog this run. That is incredible, actually. So, this part is why Evasive Maneuvers is so important. I would be getting encounters on this screen pretty often. Yes, Kates are like 1 in 50 chance. I'm pretty sure. So the fact that I got it is kind of insane. So right now, what I'm actually doing is I'm navigating parts of the overworld. I'm going to this screen because I need to head to the town on the east side of this screen here. And if I try and go from the northwest end all the way here, there's a good chance I get an encounter, and that will very likely kill me. So I take about 13 extra seconds to make sure that I can guarantee that there will be 0 chance of me getting an encounter before I hit this town called Stoneguard. So to kind of explain the category, you can start off with any of the 8 characters in this game. Single Story RTA is a category that starts with any character of your choice and plays up until their 4th chapter, which initiates the credits of the game. There is also categories for doing all 8 main routes and beating the super boss. But anyways, because I have such a low chance of getting an encounter, I can navigate this area at a much lower level than intended. As you can see, the danger level on the bottom left says danger level 45. Kind of effectively an any %. Yeah. So if I get into a single encounter here, I will die. But thankfully, I can just barely get around the encounters on this screen. And go to an area here called Shrine of the Runeblade, which is at danger level 50. Now, you're wondering why I'm going to this high levels. The reason why is these high level areas. The reason is there's some really good stuff here. This treasure chest will contain more money than I could possibly hope to have right now. So, on that trip, I picked up a large soulstone, which is the most important part. And I also picked up 50,000 gold, which I'll be using later. There's no 100%, there's sort of an all side quests unofficial category. The world record for the super boss category is about 428 by Jello Knife. Anyways, so along the way I've set up several different warp points. These are towns in the game that are important to the route. Right here I picked up Tressa, who's the second of the 4 characters we'll be picking up in this run, out of the 8 total. And Tressa is a merchant and the most broken character in the entire game, for reasons you'll see later. So we warped to the town that she is in. There's a couple that we've tagged along the way, and the nice thing about this game is it has a fast travel system, where I can go to the map and quickly warp to anywhere that I've already been. Not only is this really fast, but it's also something that allows the route to happen because it allows me to enter really high-level areas and have a quick way to get out of there without risking dying to an encounter. So Tressa's whole story is that her town is being invaded by pirates who are stealing everything, and she, being the good-hearted merchant that she is, decides she wants to kind of clear these pirates out from her town, so she knocked all of them to sleep. By offering them sleep weed, dosed wine, essentially. It's not a single character run, those are a little ridiculous. Alright, so we went to an area that's supposed to be level 45, and it gave us a large soulstone. And what large soulstone does is it does a flat 2,700 damage to all enemies. These enemies conveniently only have about 2,300 HP, so I just killed her Chapter 1 boss immediately. And that's it for Tressa's intro story. Yeah, they're about as stereotypical pirates as you get. Alright, so before we can leave, we need to finish up Tressa's Chapter 1 by going to this cutscene here. And before we move on, we need to head back into Rippletide. Bye, Mom. Bye, Dad. And the reason is, I can now scrutinize this woman here, and she will tell me the location of a large Thunder Soulstone. It's about a 5 in 6 chance. She also sells Thunder Soulstone Medium. Soulstones are the keys to doing really high damage at really low levels. So next up we're going to get a character who I'm pretty sure... Yeah, Mermilli did not actually get this character in his run for GDQ. And this is Ulbrich. He is basically a warrior character. Like a old-timey warrior. He used to be like part of a military, but he's just kind of like retired and now just does his own thing. Is it always faster to pick up 4 party members? Yes. The route kind of builds around it because we go to incredibly high levels, areas at very low levels. Meaning we really want at least extra characters to, if nothing else, do be a warm body. So right here I'm actually going to stop sprinting. You can normally run. If I stop running, it slightly lowers the chance of getting an encounter. It's very high odds that I get an encounter before I enter this fight. These guys have less than 1100 HP, so I can just toss an Ice Soulstone Medium to kill them outright.
Thus ends your lesson.
Now we need to save this kid who's been taken in by these bandits here in this cave. I don't remember exactly what they are. It's been a while since I've actually played anything to do with Ulberg's story. We do get Hunter, we don't give it to Tressa.
I will not fail.
How important are Kates to the run? They're not actually in the route. They are so unlikely to happen. This is Gaston. He has about 4,300 HP, so 2 soul stones that we picked up are enough to kill him. We won't be depending on soul stones for too much longer. We're just fusing really high damaging ones in really low level areas. I'd start singing the song from... I am completely blanking on what Disney movie the character Gaston is from. Sorry, I did not grow up on Disney. Don't ask me anything about Kingdom Hearts. Alright, so now we have 3 characters. Ulberg is actually one of the fastest characters in the game. I think he is now in most of the routes. Beauty and the Beast, okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard to understand Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 3 speedruns 1. As soon as I finish Kingdom Hearts 2, and then maybe play BBS, and one of the other ones. It is Disney, but like I said, I don't really know much about Disney, so... What I do know, I probably know a decent amount through having played one Kingdom Hearts game. Alright, so in that chest is some money. We're going to tag this place called Sunshade here. This would be where we would pick up Primrose, however, the route that I am used to with this game does not get Primrose. I believe she is currently faster, but she's a little bit more dangerous to use. Also, this is Sunshade Sands. It is probably the best song in the game. If not, then Clearbrook here has the best song in the game. This game's soundtrack is phenomenal. The soundtrack was composed by, I don't remember his name, but he did Grand Blue Fantasy, and I think that's pretty much all of note before this game. So this game's soundtrack was definitely a huge surprise. It's a decent chance of encounter on this screen, but this is a pretty low level area, so if it ends up happening, we're not really in much danger. Yes. To reiterate, me getting a Kate on the screen before Whistlewood is not something you account for ever. It is about a 2% chance. It should not ever happen in a marathon run, and yet it did, so... yeah. Go RNG. Bless RNG. Yeah, basically I hit 31 black on the roulette wheel, which is not very rare, not very common. Unless I'm like completely mixing up my roulette. I've never played roulette, sorry. It's gonna come and bite me once we get to Yvonne. I did that menu there slowly because I've more recently done a lot more work on Tressa, and she also has her chapter 2 in this part. So we're at this town just investigating stuff on the whereabouts of the book. Question mark? Yeah, this game... I personally have some issues with its visual style. I think it's a little bit... It uses a little bit too much glow and doesn't have great lighting, but the aesthetic choices they made in this game are pretty solid. And the music direction in this game is phenomenal. I actually also really love the battle system of this game. A lot of my issues with this game don't actually appear in the speedruns, so it ends up being quite an entertaining speed game, despite being pretty random at times. So here I'm kind of trying to figure out what all's going on, and it turns out the sewers of this town, a kidnapper did something, and we need to go fight him. But not yet. Not just yet. Oh, I made a little bit of a mistake here. I have to go scrutinize this guy. Or, sorry, purchase. So Tressa is a merchant. She can buy things off people. Press plus to hear travel banter. Those are similar to skits in the Tales of series, if you're familiar. They're little, kind of non-sequitur scenes that kind of flesh out the characters. One complaint I do have with this game is its story and characters are not particularly fleshed out. The travel banter mediates this a little bit. Yeah, party chat in Bravely series. So this screen is a decently likely chance I get a new encounter. I don't know why. In the Tressa route, or at least the old Tressa route, you come from this town all the way to, and you head back to Quarry Crest, which is where I was just at. In this route, I go from Quarry Crest to this town here called Boulder Fall, and I somehow got no encounter. It's about a 10% chance, it feels like. What is my luck this run? This is kind of stupid. Anyways, so we're here to pick up our fourth and final character, Therian, the thief, the character who fits the least into the story, but honestly is my own personal favorite character in the game. His whole story is he's trying to steal this gem from this manor that he heard about. It turns out it's actually a trap, and he gets, after this next boss here, he's going to get a band on his hand, which is a mark of shame for thieves. Now, we will not be doing Tressa, Ulberich, or Therian's second or third chapters. We will only be doing Cyrus's second, third, and fourth chapter. So this is another interesting little trick with the encounter system in this game. If you load up a save, it resets the encounter rate, because dungeons carry encounter rate between screens. Most other screens don't. And now, this game has a really generous autosave system, which helps the route considerably. Right here I use the autosave system to make sure that I can get through this screen without unabated by encounters. Normally the nice thing about it is if you do get unlucky and you happen to get into an encounter in an area and die, you don't actually lose a ton of time. Anyways, this is the butler.
Let's get this over with.
His name is Heathcote. He was like a ninja or something. I don't remember the lore on him. Okay, it's Thunder L first. Doesn't really matter. I think I can use window, but making sure I keep to my route here. It's been a little while, and I want to make sure I'm not making too many mistakes.
Take this. Victory shall be mine. Have a taste of this.
And that's Heathcote. Sure, something Sword Art Online. We already had the better version of Sword Art Online earlier in this marathon. There's a game called .hack Infection. Got him. No, just Therian. The thing with the stories in this game is they don't really link up at all, except in some of the post-game content. Really, you can just treat them as their own separate things, and our party's really only together to help meet each other's ends, because we can't do it alone. Alright. So now we're going into the woods. Good, no encounters. Also appreciate that you properly pluralized media. Even though I think media is not a numeric thing, you would probably use the word much instead of many. Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts at least sticks to the games. Dot hack, you need like manga and anime and stuff or something. I don't know. Sorry, I've been like restreaming all week, so if I'm just kind of sitting here chatting a little bit, there's not a whole lot going on in the run right now. Where I'm going to right now is a really high level area. On this screen, there's about a 30% chance I get an encounter. I don't know if that's the actual chance, but it's what it feels like. And we're gonna save. So, although I did use autosaves earlier, saving on the map also accomplishes the same ends. I will load a save here. Do I pick any other party members? No. So by doing that, I have set the encounter to 0, and I can freely take up to a certain number of steps, which I have more than enough. And here in this town, Duskbarrow, this is actually where Cyrus' story comes to an end, but we'll be coming back here once we've finished up just Chapter 3, which is conveniently in Stoneguard, which was along the route that we took. To give a quick plug, huge shoutouts to the Octopath community, who's helped me a lot with learning this game, helped a lot of people out with learning different games. So the next place we go to is Stoneguard. Just want to make sure I'm remembering everything. So, although we could theoretically do Chapter 3, or Chapter 2 right now, we want to make it easier on ourselves, so we're going to go back to a familiar setting. However, instead of going to the Shrine of the Rune Blade on this screen that we went to earlier, we're going to be going to a place called Everhold Tunnels. Now, one of the neat quirks of some of these bonus dungeons, like Everhold Tunnels is sort of meant to be, is they give you a choice between whether or not you want to fight the boss or not. And in this instance, if we choose no, we can actually reset the encounter rate once again. So we will not be getting into any encounters in this dungeon that can really just put a hurt on us, i.e. kill us almost instantly. Now, I don't like encounters. I'm kind of on a decent run already, so I'm going to take the 13-second time loss here. And this should guarantee that I get no encounter system. DQ11 actually does have a pretty cool arranged soundtrack. If you can find a way to play the Japanese version, it's pretty cool. Alright, so where we're going next here is a place called the Merchant Shrine. Just like the Hunter Shrine that we went to earlier, it gives us a subclass. So I haven't really touched on the subclasses, but every character in this game has a primary class and a subclass. The way subclasses work is you can give them to any of your characters. However, once you've given a subclass to a specific character, no other character can have that subclass at the same time. Oh yeah, on purple chests, as you mentioned, you do need Therions. You do need a thief in your party to open purple chests, and purple chests tend to yield really good rewards. I got a couple when I was in the Everhold Tunnels back there. Alrighty, so now we're going to equip jobs. Here I'm going to give Cyrus the Hunter's job, and Ulrich the Merchant job. As for skills, Cyrus I'm going to give Aerostorm, which just is a thing. Tressa I give Hired Help. Ulrich I also give Hired Help, which is the most broken skill for the speedrun here. And then Darien Armor Corrosive to just be able to do a little bit more damage. Alright, now we're going to go finish up Chapter 2. Just double check it. Sometimes if you change your menus, it screws with your skills. Alright, so we're going to finish up Cyrus' Chapter 2 and meet another person involved with the book from the far reaches of hell. I don't remember his exact involvement, but he's kind of basically conducting human sacrifice down here, so we kind of need to put a stop to that. And you're going to see just how powerful Hired Help really is in this first fight here.
Cannot fail.
Alright, so Tressa is going to defend. Yeah, this game is literally pay to win. So we're going to pop Armor Corrosive here on Gideon, the boss, and we're going to have our two merchants defend. Now, Hired Help has some interesting quirks. There are several different rates that you can pay for assistance, and the highest one costs 30,000 gold, which is an amount you're really not supposed to have right now, but we do anyway. And it does a flat, just ridiculous amount of damage. It does not matter what level you are, your merchants will always do that ridiculous sum of damage. Pretty broken. And for each BP you use, the Hired Help hits one more time. So you really want to hit with at least 3, if not 4, in almost every instance in the entire run. There are some other really useful Hired Helps. They have different attack types, which, as you've seen so far, hitting enemies with certain attack types actually hits their weakness. Okay, gotta go here to Sunshade. Yep, pay to win. Believe it or not, it's not even close to the most broken thing in the game. Like, it falls off pretty hard once enemies start getting to pretty ludicrous sums of damage in post-game sections. It's really good for the story, at least, though. Money glitch? Nope, there is no glitching in this game. There's one, like, viable glitch, I think, in Galdera, but we don't really use that in this run. We just ventured to some really late-game areas to pick up large sums of money. So where we're headed next is just a place that offers some really valuable resources that are actually pretty much necessary in this route, because Cyrus's last 2 bosses do a metric ton of damage, and we need to be able to survive hits. So here we're going to purchase 2 Healing Grape Bunches. These are full party potions, essentially. Healing Grapes are just your standard potion. How many speedrun categories? 8 single segments, and all prologues are run, all main stories, and Galdera. Yeah, do get this, and then do have to scrutinize this guy. It's about a 1 in 3 chance. I actually got it first try, which is really good. If I mess it up too many times, I'd have to go to the tavern and pay a decent chunk of money to have my reputation restored. If you fail too many times on overworld actions, your reputation will be damaged, and you really don't want that. Alright, so here we're going to sell off everything valuable we have. I had 2 of those. I didn't menu that properly. And we're going to buy 8 empowering bracelets. Now, first I want to equip all of these. And these increase my character's max HP by 500 each, and since I have 2 of them, it increases by 1,000. Okay. And then, next up, we want to equip Cyrus with Leg Hold Trap, which is a useful skill. I'll explain it once we actually start using it. Ulbrich's going to get a bunch of skills, 1,000 Spears, Insight, and Sidestep, which is one of the most broken combinations in the game, because aggro plus dodge is kind of ridiculous. And then, make sure we apply all our support skills. Alright. Now we're going to head off to Stone Guard. Sorry, there's 8 characters, and then 2 other more full game routes. And then also a kind of miscellaneous category in all prologues, but there is, hasn't really been done as much. Wait. Yeah, here we go. Sorry, it's late and I'm kind of forgetting what I'm doing. So this guy tells me that there's a man in this house here named Dominic who actually has been brought on to translate the book that we were looking for, but he's kind of shut himself in because his daughter died. There's a lot more to the story that I'm not really touching on, but that's kind of what's happening in a nutshell. So I need to get enough information to kind of explain, to kind of justify asking him for help. The categories I run, so far just Cyrus and Tressa. Cyrus was my first, so tells you all you need to know about how much of a masochist I can be. This is a pretty brutal category as far as luck goes. I've actually gotten some incredibly good luck. Also, that was not the menu. I meant to double tap up there. But yeah, the Octopath's really, Octopath community is really nice. A lot of people who are constantly seeking out new strats, helping out new runners, and yeah, there's a lot of great resources to getting into this game. Oops, I'm supposed to buy both soul stones. I feel like I'm short on money. Did I miss something? I feel like I'm missing money somewhere, and I don't remember where. Oh, I bought an extra necklace? Oh, shoot. You're right. That's bad. We should be fine. Okay. Yeah, I'm really not sure what to do with this. My bad. Okay. Gonna have to take a detour here. Wait, no, I do have good money. Never mind, never mind. False alarm. Sorry, it's like I'm so mixed up with this route and the other route. Yeah. What makes Cyrus's run really RNG heavy? Well, you're gonna see soon. I was like, duh, I completely forgot where some of the money comes from in this route. Well, I lost a minute to being an utter scrub. I apologize. I have spent about 20 hours of the last 2 days, 20 hours of the last 2 days working on stuff for this marathon and restreaming, so I'm understandably a little bit tired. Alright, so this coming up here is the worst boss in the entire video game. His name is Yvonne. And he is the gatekeeper of this run.
I cannot.
Alright.
No.
Okay. Gonna hit Bandit here. We're gonna hope for no tornadoes. Oh, there's a tornado. So we just lost the fight. I am not as familiar with the backup strats for how to deal with this, but 2 tornadoes is not something you can ever really deal with. Thankfully, we saved right before this fight. Yes, this is the first death of the run.
I cannot fail.
This guy is also responsible for bad stuff relating to the book. Okay, this is a winnable fight now. Alright. Second try Yvonne, not bad. So we can break his summons here. And Therion, use a large pomegranate. I feel like I have... one sec. This isn't the route I'm used to. Okay. Okay. Alright, I'm just making sure I can account for everything here. Okay.
No. I think not.
Yeah, this is the kind of run where if you make one mistake, you could lose the entire run, so you really don't want that to happen. So we're going to use this to break Yvonne.
Take that.
And then now we're going to use several soul stones to wipe out his minions. Yes, actually, believe it or not, a lot of RPG runners do in fact use notes during marathon runs. They just don't tell you, and I'm just too tired to not, I'm just too tired to be, I'm just too tired to have pride about it. Okay.
Not. No.
Alrighty.
Use this. I see.
Thank you.
Alright, so now he's just going to augment his strength, which is really going to accomplish next to nothing.
My turn now.
No, you don't. How about you?
Okay. I'm gonna have to use a little backup here. I'm not too familiar with. Skills.
Now, what next? not. Now.
Alrighty, so now we've done hired help enough times to just just pay to win and beat this guy up. Okay, and so with that, we've beaten the man holding one of our favorite students hostage, and we need to go find the last person who happens to have the book that we're looking for. This person happens to be located way up here in the town of Duskbarrow. Oopsies. I'm sorry, I'm like blanking out here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I left my Steam, I forgot that I have my Switch online. Everyone's off playing Wargroove today. So we really want these two skills on Therian. Believe that's it. Let's make sure. Yeah, okay. And then I need to give him a support skill as well. Okay, so those should help our chances against the final boss. Alright, I just ran into a wall there. I hope that doesn't damn me into getting an encounter. Wargroove is a pretty neat looking game. Yeah. Alright, so we're coming up on the final boss here of Cyrus' story. Place that you're supposed to be at least level 45 according to the game, and we are currently sitting pretty underleveled. And in fact, we're much higher level than we normally are in runs because of that lucky Kate. I think Darian is level like 11 right now. Alright, so here in this ancient ruin in the town of Duskbarrow, which we went to much earlier, is an old library of old, ancient, forbidden grimoires. And here in this chest is a large soulstone that we were going to need for this next boss, because this next boss is definitely not free. Alright, so this is Lucia, and I'm going to need to focus here. The idea is to break her on turn 7, and not a turn before. Alright, so this is a winnable fight. So first things first. Need to hired help mercenaries, which what this does, besides hitting her weakness, because she has several different weaknesses, it also buffs my party with a little bit of defense, which means that we're going to be able to survive some attacks. Alright, so first things first, we need to shackle foe here, which lowers her offensive output. We're going to leg hold trap with hunter skills, and this is going to set Lucia here. Her turns are going to happen at the very end of the sequence. So items, picked up these healing grape bunches. This is how we're going to heal. Now, Ulbrich has a warrior skill called Insight. And what Insight does is it aggroes all attacks to him for the next 2 attacks, essentially. Let's Cyrus's job in this fight is essentially to just spam arrows, which Lucia is weak to. Turn 7 just happens to be, like, the best time to do it. If we do it any sooner or later, we're kind of just screwed. I can't... I'd have to explain a little bit more detailed, and I need to focus.
Out of my way. I appreciate it. Really.
What to do? Let me help.
So Ulbrich here also has Sidestep from the Merchant subclass, and this means he will completely dodge the next 4 attacks that come, which means he cannot die until those 4 hits have come.
Too slow.
What is the logical course of action?
Don't want that yet.
I see.
Tressa heal,
Let me help.
and once again we're going to use Insight.
Come. There. Too slow. Too slow.
My turn now.
On turn 5, once again we need to not use any BP, so this is going to give us 2 more turns of increased defense, which we're going to need.
The battle.
Ulbrich's going to be able to sidestep 2 more things.
Fortune favors the prepared.
Therion, Shackle Foe. This gives 2 more turns of reduced damage. Good incidental attack, Hunter Skill, Rain of Arrows.
Too slow.
And so Ulbrich's just going to dodge these.
Too slow. The battle is truly joy.
His job's to give himself a large pomegranate to buff BP, as you can see there. And Cyrus is going to defend.
Think not.
Alright, so we're good. This fight is really scary and requires some... requires a very specific set of actions. Okay. And this will break her.
Damn it. Iron Blade is unbending.
Take this.
Alright, so once again, we're going to collect, because merchants can collect money.
Thank you.
Okay, it wasn't the 1 in 50 chance that I screwed that up. Toss some soul stones, and this is just enough damage to kill her. Unless I misread my BP.
A gift for you.
There we go. Oh man. So, you know what's funny?
Not bad. A passing.
I could have PB'd if I hadn't forgotten what I was doing for a solid minute there. This is like incredibly good luck on a run that I did not deliver on execution. Alright, so we've got just 2 more minutes left to play. GG. Alright, so now we have a little bit more information. We get the dictionary on the book. Gonna learn as much as we can here about it before we finally go and figure out what it's all about. So right here is the most important save in the game. taking any chances here. Okay, we got it. So, she has the book that was stolen from the library at the beginning of the game, but it turns out it's a very, very dark ancient tome that is actually a warning of something terrible to come. That's essentially the story to it. There's more to it. I haven't really elaborated too much on that. Alright, so saving once more to reset the encounter rate, because any more steps and we probably would have had an encounter, which has a very high chance of killing me, or at least coming very close, both of which cost a lot of time. So, time is coming up here very soon. Gotta scrutinize this wall and figure out just a couple more things. So, whoops, that was the wrong answer. It's the bottom answer. I tapped only once instead of twice. And time. Okay, so that is Octopath Traveler, single story, specifically the character Cyrus. Yeah, if I hadn't messed up there, I would have probably PB'd by a couple seconds. My PB is 58:41. It's not great. As you can see, I got really lucky. A lot of my previous attempts have had very bad luck and okay execution. Definitely check out the Octopath speedrunning community. There's a lot of up-and-comers. Oro, who ran Pokemon Let's Go earlier, recently took the record in this category due to some extensive reruns and just him being much more practiced at the game than me. Big shoutouts to Dahlia, Jello Knife, D2 Kemps. All of them have helped me with learning this run. They've helped a lot of new runners. And to kind of really elaborate on just what RPGBlitz was kind of all about for me is I wanted to help make a marathon that can showcase that these RPGs, they're not games that take, you know, an entire day to like even be able to do. They're games you can learn relatively quickly. They're games that, you know, kind of present RPG, I would hope present RPG speedrunning in a bit more of an approachable way, since a lot of people I see in chats everywhere, they say, oh, I don't know if I can speedrun a 5-hour game, you know. It's like, I want to run RPGs, but, well, you totally can. There's a lot of great RPGs out there that aren't especially long, a lot of them that are a little bit more palatable to people who maybe don't have a lot of time to dedicate to streaming. And there's a lot of really great, you know, longer RPG runs. This is one of those games that, to me personally, kind of embodied, you know, just a lot of what speedrunning is about. A community that came together and worked on a new game and routed it out and broke it in some ways. Also, I love this credit sequence. It's about 8 minutes long. We won't be sitting here for the entire time, but yeah, so with that, this draws RPGBlitz to a close. I apologize for some of the technical problems on my end over the last few hours. I hope you all enjoyed